Hey friends, Derek from TCI here with another log. You know, in our last video, we went to a mall and we were working on a restaurant there, and it got me thinking about how interesting malls are. So when I'm walking through a mall, the first things that I'm always noticing are the security cameras and some of the card readers, and I'm always thinking to myself, how did they get that wire there? And how did they hide it? And how close is the distribution frame to this location where I'm standing? You know, I'm always doing that kind of math. So if you don't mind, I'll take you through into this service corridor, and then I'll start to show you some of the behind the scenes. So every single store that has frontage facing the mall also has a back area that is reachable through a service corridor. And the hundreds and hundreds of stores that are here and all of their hundreds of internet connections are routed through these hallways. I always find working in malls really fun because they vary from very organized and color coded to complete chaos where things are just falling down the wall. And one thing that you should always keep in mind, it would depend on the customer, of course, but I think this is pretty common and pretty consistent, is that a business making money with whatever their services are will not change them or improve them or clean them up if nothing is broken. So they will let things hang down the wall and look incredibly sloppy, rusty, wet. If it ain't broke, they're not going to go to any trouble to fix it. They're going to wait for a complete store outage or a section of the mall going offline before they'll do anything to address messed up cables, which is kind of a fun thing. It makes working in a mall kind of a quirky experience. Like, depending on when something was built, it'll be top notch, and other stuff you come across will just be dilapidated. And I enjoy the dichotomy of some of both in a job site. Let's keep exploring these corridors and see what we come across. Okay, so here's a good example of what I'm talking about. You've got some IP cameras up here, and just consider, where are they hiding these wires? Like, you can't possibly run a Cat 6 to every one of these stores at these extreme distances, right? So it's a real interesting challenge how they get services to each of these locations. All right, friends, welcome to the Inner Sanctum. We are in the city underneath the mall. So if you're wondering, this is where they've been hiding the fiber and other links that go through this space. Now, there's two kinds of networks that you're going to find in a mall like this. So when you're going through a mall, two primary networks are going to be security and access controls. So that's your cameras and your card readers. And then, here we go, the city continues. And along all these ceiling routes, there are going to be a large number of cable highways that are kind of pieced together. So here's one that I've worked on many times, and this is the backside of a pretty sizable delivery zone. And in here are a number of IDFs that are in the ceiling. So if I were to look up, you can see some of the cable pathways that are currently in progress. Now, if you guys have ever seen something like the Mall of America or other large format malls, maybe Grapevine Mills in Texas, you can get a sense of the size of this place. So how do we network something that's this big? So I'm just going to be walking through the underground pathways. So right now I'm below the actual shopping mall. And every so often I'm going to pass some wires, and I'll just point those out to you. But this zone is a space where I've worked numerous times, where you drive through with a truck and you lift yourself up on a lift and you run wires and you get everything where it needs to be. And these loading zones are the bottom of certain large box stores. So if they're selling furniture or they're selling appliances, they need a place to load these large contents. So that's what this area is for. If it's just boxes, they'll be one level up, and that'll be how they take care of that. So here's a space I've been many times. Why don't we walk through there? So it's hard to see up in the ceiling, but there's quite a bit of fiber up there, a lot of Cat 6. And there's some more down this route, more down this route. So question that people ask me from time to time, is there a data center or data room in the mall? And the answer to that is not really. There is a very, bare bones framework, but everything is highly distributed. So the only thing that would even remotely count as a data room is going to be, oh, I love this. Come on. You gotta love that one. So the only thing that would come even close is the security camera stuff, because all the feeds have to aggregate into recorders. And now I'm gonna exit into the mall area, so I'm gonna cut it off real quick. All right, team, I ended up in the food court, so I decided to get some overpriced pizza and just have a seat somewhere in the mall so that I could stop drawing so much attention with a camera walking around the mall. But I believe I was talking about internet service providers and where they keep their data closets. And the way that it works in a mall is strategically every so many corridors, there will be a data closet and there'll be an IDF in there. And then the major ISP that you're going to see in most shopping malls is Granite Communications. And they subcontract out to fellows like myself, and we run their wires to the various stores and help them set up modems, Wi-Fi, that sort of thing. So the terrestrial carriers, like in Hawaii, it would be Hawaiian Tel or Spectrum Cable. They're not as well represented in the malls as they are in, say, residential or other commercial spaces. In the mall, it's often going to be Granite Communications is the folks who are going to be installing their systems. So there's not a central hub, in other words, where everything is located. What we've got instead are a bunch of little breakout spots every so many corridors. And so there's not one massive data room with a bunch of racks. There is a version of that for the security cameras, because as I said, you need to aggregate all that footage somewhere. And so if you're investigating an incident, if you're the police and you come down and you want to check on, like, hey, what did the camera see? You're going to go to the security office. There's going to be a series of recorders. They're all tied together via the fiber links. And the footage will all be in one place for the security staff to provide to the police. And so that's basically how a mall breaks out. If you ever get a job where you need to design it, you're going to do something similar. You're going to create a hub and spoke network where you branch out from a small, probably like fiber concentrator switch, and you will break out into little distribution frames, and that'll be how you provide internet and security services to the tenants. So I hope that's been a little bit interesting. I appreciate you hanging with me on this fine Sunday, and I will see you again in the next one. Until then, happy network building.